Hello, this is Josh Belk with the Belk on Business podcast. Thank you for taking just a few moments to listen in again today. Last week we began starting to dive into a little bit on going maybe a little bit deeper into talking about what a fractional CFO can provide for you. Last week we talked a little bit about what's needed in different phases of the business. And on this particular week, I jotted down actually 15. I'm not going to get through these 15. I'll probably maybe get through a few of them today and then maybe the next part of the list next week. But I identified areas as I began to work with clients that they really sometimes end up dropping the ball on, or maybe they just need some tweaks in, they need some help in to be able to take their business to the next level or get their business into that next phase. Some of these are crucial to the point to where really the success or the failure of your business can ride upon how you make these decisions. As somebody like myself, when we go into a business, we're really trying to take a holistic view of things, and we're not focused just on taxes. We're not just focused on trying to generate financial statements. Because some of these items that generally you may hire or deliverables that you may hire generally an accountant for, but bringing someone in who really can kind of just dig in a little bit deeper and begin to look at certain specific areas within your business that really can create some potential issues or concerns in your business. And like I said, I'm going to kind of go through, maybe 7, 8, 9 of these today, and then we'll go through the second half of the list next week. Number one item is lack of controls. And if you think about it, is if your business started like mine, you end up, you're kind of a solopreneur, right? You kind of go through this process of it's just you. You go through, you're doing your hustle, you're doing your grind, you're doing your thing, and a customer pays you. Remember the excitement you had when you received that first check that somebody actually said, "I think you're worth a little bit of money," and they actually paid your invoice. So you go through and you take that thing and you begin to do it over and over and over again, and you're kind of figuring things out as you go through the process. In time, you kind of figure out, you know what, I need to bring people on. I can no longer do this myself. Just this past week in my business, we brought on another employee here, and kind of going through the process even right now. She's out there and been spending a lot of time training. My team's been training with her and myself a little bit as well, and kind of get to the point of realizing we need to bring on more employees. And one thing that happened when we bring on more and more team members is we begin to lose a little bit of the control of our business, as it should be. If we're going to elevate, we need to delegate some of those tasks. But when we start to do that, we have to make sure that there are still controls in place. I'm sure probably all of you that have listened to this podcast, you've heard a word that's kind of used quite often in the world of accountancy, and that's basically the concept of internal controls. What does that mean? It could be a kind of a vague term. And not going to dig in deep here, but really, are there proper controls in your business to where there is oversight going on? Oversight in the work that's being produced, oversight on the processes, oversight on the financials. A lot of times people think about just internal control on the financials when it was just me. I'm the one paying all the bills. I'm writing all the checks. Well now there's other people involved in the money of the business. And so there needs to be some oversight. Beyond that, just making sure that there's oversight on the individuals in the company, I really need to make sure that there's oversight on myself as well. And so really, if we have good, proper internal controls within our company, making sure there's proper oversight on the duties of each of the individuals that happen to work for us, we'll find that it really will strengthen the business internally. And it doesn't mean that we're operating with mistrust. I have worked for people who absolutely trusted none of their people. This kind of generally tend for a business owner or a manager to micromanage. It can really create problems. What this means is that there is on occasion there's somebody looking through things, and there's questions being asked. And a lot of this can really just simply happen by just making sure that you're having a regular dialogue with your people. Hey, what's going on? What are you doing? Making sure that you're occasionally looking at your bank statements, making sure that you're picking up something before it goes out the door. Occasionally I'll go through and one of our people may go through and prepare some sort of a deliverable. Sometimes, and they're perfectly adequate at it. I may completely trust them, but on occasion, I'll pick it up and take a look at it. On occasion, especially since here we deal with a lot of our clients' money in regards with making tax payments and paying employees, and we have access to a lot of data. And we'd make sure that we have steps in place that we're looking over each other's shoulder and to making sure that we're providing the service that we need to for our clients, not just that, but also to make sure that there are some controls going on in regard to how we handle not just the finance piece, but also when it comes to the deliverables. And I'll talk about this a little bit of a different angle here in just a moment. Second issue that we see from time to time is a mismatched accounting platform with the industry or with the deliverables that they're trying to produce. And so many of our clients, we work with a lot of kind of small and mid-sized type businesses. So a great many of them may use QuickBooks Online, and or they use that type of a platform. And it's the platform, to be honest with you, is not all that good. I'll be quite frank with you, from an accounting end, it flat out stinks. There's a lot of internal control issues within the software, and and if you're from Intuit, please just do us all a favor and fix some of these things. But actually, a couple weeks ago, they completely dropped the ball, and every single person in the country that used QuickBooks for their payroll didn't get paid until later on in the day. They completely botched up the entire thing, and it was very, very frustrating. But on that point, thanks for letting me vent there for a moment. But sometimes we'll walk in and they may be doing something. They may be providing they may be in manufacturing, for example, or they actually have assembly lines. They need product control, that type of thing. And QuickBooks just isn't really the greatest platform for that. They may need a system in place. They may need a point of sale system in place. They may need inventory control systems in place that will sync with accounting software, for example, that will kind of work together to be able to produce the desired result, to be able not just to generate the financials, but also to get the owners and the decision makers the information that they need to be able to make decisions in their business. So sometimes people want to try to cut corners on software, on hardware, on what they need to be able to produce the information that they need. They'll say, well, you know what, once I have extra money, I'll do that. But sometimes really we need to sit down and kind of say, okay, what am I needing from my software? What am I needing from that end? So what is the deliverable that I need on my desk from my people, and what do I need to get in place? What do I need to purchase? What do I need to put in place to be able to get the information that I need? There's a lot of tools out there. We use some of them here. We're currently at an engagement trying to help a business owner get themselves out of a little bit of a situation that they didn't create. And so we're kind of really going through and just gathering a bunch of data. We have real cool tools to be able to produce some helpful deliverables. But in your business, you may need to bring some of those things internally that your team can use to be able to provide the information that you need. And then beyond that, and I think maybe even of most importance, to make sure that you can get your reports that you need for your bankers, to your accountant to be able to do your returns, et cetera. I mean, those are kind of like baseline type issues. But beyond that, making sure that you have the platform in place to be able to provide you with the reports that you need to make the decisions that you need to make in your business. Next, and I think there's a lot of people out there who say, well, these are one of the top reasons that a business fails. From my experience, what I see in businesses that small businesses that simply do not succeed is that the owners do not handle the equity properly in the business. So they will either go and they'll put money into the business, or the business will make money, or they'll go through and they'll get an investor, they'll get a lender, they'll go to Aunt Susie, and Aunt Susie will dump $25,000 into the business, and they get in there and they begin to trying to start managing their business by their checkbook. And they say, okay, well, you know what? I looked at my checkbook today, and I have X dollars in my bank account. This is how much I can spend today. And what that ends up happening is the owners end up getting really, really loose with their cash. They get loose with what they put into the business from a cash end, or I think it may be even worse. And I think what causes even people to be more loose is when they have other people's money in their business. I really think that sometimes the best thing a business can do is to basically work off of their own capital, to figure it out, to not go through and get a bunch of money. I was actually listening earlier to a podcast, and they were talking about Uber. And of course, right now with nobody wanting to work because the government's paying people to stay at home, it's difficult for businesses out there to hire people. And Uber, one of the issues that they had is they were basically they were too liquid on the front end. They took too much equity money in on the front end, and it's created some complications for them. But I think for a small business, it creates it can harm our mindset. Thinking, you know what, it's there, easy come, easy go. I need it to grow my business, instead of being very purposeful on how they're going to spend it, how they're very purposeful and how they're going to return that equity, and they don't manage their business by bank balances, but they're very disciplined in how they go about making their decision day by day, and really showing respect to the person that was willing to invest in them, and make sure that they use that equity wisely. Let me go through one more, then I'll end the podcast for today. Maybe we'll take this over maybe 3 or 4 weeks. But next is not securing intellectual property. One of the basic things when you think intellectual property, now you're thinking copyrights or trademarks, and you have attorneys and you have all this other thing. Let's take a step back here a little bit. When I talk about intellectual property, one thing that every business should do, and it's one question that I usually ask a business owner if they have anything in their business that somebody could take with them and leave with, is do you have legal documents in place when your employees come in and they work for you, the employee that works for us? Before I even attended an offer, as far as extending an offer to come work for us, they're signing non-disclosure. They're signing documents saying that, you know what, you're not taking my clients, but beyond that, anything that is unique to us, you can't take with you. And I promise you, there's probably something in your business that's unique to your business, and there are some things in our business that are very unique to us, and it allows for us to operate in our niche. And it is something that I'm more than happy to try to help share with people. And I want that to be on my terms, and I don't want to give up those things that I've worked really, really hard to learn, to be able to put together. I just don't want to have an employee just leave with it, or a vendor leave with it, whatever the case may be. So make sure that you're very, very guarded and protected with whatever that intellectual property that you have in your business. Make sure that you hold on to it. And yes, you should go through, and if there is something in your business that you need to have trademarked, or there needs to be copyrights or patents, all those types of things that you kind of generally think of when you think of intellectual property, spend the money, get that taken care of. Some competitors just can go out there and just pick things off of you, but especially on the front end, make sure that with your people that you're protecting your intellectual property inside the business, making sure you're spending all the time necessary to develop your people, but to make sure that information stays in house. That way, you can continue to bring the level of value that you can to your clients, and monetize on what you've learned and what you know as well. Hopefully this podcast brought you some value. My name is Josh Belk. This is the Belk on Business podcast. I would encourage you, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Have a wonderful day.